Spider-Man No Way Home is finally in theaters.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
So today I'll be sharing with you guys 5 reasons why this is the best MCU Spider-Man film. So let's get started. Welcome back, movie watchers. Thank you guys for stopping by my channel. Spider-Man No Way Home, directed by Jon Watts, is finally in theaters. I thought this film would be pushed back again due to the pandemic, but it's here, it's making money, and it was great. So today I'll share with you guys 5 reasons why I think this is the best MCU Spider-Man film. Comment down below with your thoughts on the film and what does it compare to the previous 2 Spider-Man films in the MCU. Reason number 1 that it is the best is that it's very emotional. By the 3rd film in the MCU, we've come accustomed to the relationships between some of the characters and the characters themselves, from Peter Parker to Ned to MJ, Aunt May, even Happy. These characters have really grown on us and we've just been invested in their storylines. There's so many moments within No Way Home that really test these characters. Smaller relationships to bigger relationships. There's a lot of things that happen within this movie that do challenge these characters, from Ned to MJ, Aunt May, Peter, Happy, everybody within this film. There's a lot at stake to where you're really feeling those emotional moments hit really hard, and the performances are really good to carry those emotional moments. Several times you could hear the audience react. Many moments in here not only make it the most emotional Spider-Man film, but one of the most emotional MCU films. There's a lot that I was affected by and they handled it so well. Not only is the main cast very emotional, there is also scenes with the villains, from Doc Ock to Electro, Sandman, Green Goblin, that you really care about them because these are villains that are misunderstood. And MCU has crafted many villains throughout the years that they're misunderstood, and you kind of almost side with them. Killmonger, Vulture, just to name a few. But the characters in here, they're misunderstood, and you start to side with them, and you want to see them you want to see them live, because you know in their universe they all die. We want to see that change a little bit for these villains because you start to really like them, but then there's also some of that emotional side to these characters. Reason number 2 is the development for Peter Parker. Tom Holland is such a good actor, and there's a lot of growth for this character the 3rd time around. This really shows what it means to be Spider-Man. All of the responsibilities you have, even though his identity is revealed, he still has to carry on. He still wants to further his relationship with MJ. He still wants to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But what I liked about this movie is it kind of ties in with those emotional moments. There's a lot of challenges for Peter Parker within this movie, and many times he has to, many times people look up to him and rely on him for something. He has to stop and think about it. There's a lot of growth for this character. And I like that it also brought back a little bit of the Homecoming film in the way that they wrote Peter Parker, because he is very smart. He's into science. I felt like Far From Home just was a fun MCU film, but didn't really touch upon kind of like his academics and his love for science. This time around, it really covered that, and so it really showed us who Spider-Man really is. And there's a lot of growth for this character, and realizing that he needs to balance, both his personal life and his superhero life, and becoming a really big key player in the MCU. And I'm so looking forward to see what they do for the upcoming new trilogy of Spider-Man films. Reason number 3 is the action. The first 2 movies had some really big action with Vulture and Mysterio, but having so many villains in here, it allows for different action scenes that feel reminiscent to the Sam Raimi films and the Andrew Garfield movies. The action scenes in here are a lot of fun. We've seen a lot of that bridge sequence from the trailers. That is awesome to see in the movie, but once you kind of get towards the end, not trying to spoil too much, it feels very urgent. And the way that they handled a lot of these action scenes, at times it doesn't feel as big as some of the moments even from Far From Home. I feel like that had some of the biggest action scenes, but they make sure to utilize every single villain in their own way and add for a lot of well choreographed action scenes and great direction. Far From Home had those bigger action sequences, but in regards to this new film, it's way more urgent, it's way more personal, and it's so cool to look at. It was so awesome to see Green Goblin and Sandman and Electro and the Lizard. They all have their own unique personalities and fighting abilities, and seeing how Tom Holland reacts to all of that did provide for a lot of entertaining moments. Reason number 4 is the cast. This time around, we are really getting a lot more of the cast in here. From Zendaya as MJ, we have Marissa Tomei as Aunt May, and Jon Favreau as Happy. There's a lot of these characters that we've seen progress throughout the movies, and now they have a stronger storyline. The first film was just setting up the character of MJ and Peter. The second film, kind of towards the end, is when we start to see them, express their feelings for each other. And the third film is when we really get into that relationship. And Zendaya is a really good actress, but I really like her character in here. She is willing to contribute a lot to the story, and she helps out a lot. I like seeing that relationship blossom throughout the film, but also grow her as an independent character. And Ned too is still once again really great. Aunt May, Happy, they're all great in here as well. But having more characters compared to the previous films, we have a lot more story to develop, and they're juggling all of these characters, and they do it in a way that doesn't feel pointless, like, hey, here's the Green Goblin, Sandman, Lizard, all of these characters that you loved from the Spider-Man films, we're just going to give it to you. They put them in there in a very unique way that makes it feel important and worth having them in there. And all of those characters and the acting too is really good. Seeing them on screen again and seeing how they've changed or stayed the same and how they're willing to grow as well makes this one of the best casts and characters in an MCU film. I love these ensemble films, Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War, having so many characters, and I love how MCU is able to just juggle so many characters at once. And with No Way Home, they do that so well. So the cast in here is really great. We have most of the same cast from the previous two movies, but there's so much more for these characters to do. So many different challenges, and seeing them just grow throughout this movie makes it one of the best casts in an MCU film. And reason number 5 why this is the best MCU Spider-Man film is its story. It's a very clever story that utilizes key elements from the Sam Raimi trilogy and the Andrew Garfield films, previous jokes, and just the way that they brought these characters in. Also utilizing Doctor Strange a lot. He's trying to act as a mentor to Peter a little bit. The way that they bring in all these characters is very clever, and how they try to get them back to their own universe is clever as well. This is probably one of the most intriguing stories I have seen in an MCU film. The way that they're able to bring these characters in, still feel like those characters from the previous movies, while still also focusing on Peter and how his identity was revealed in the beginning, how he's trying to juggle that, get into college, and then having all these villains, and also trying to be Spider-Man and what it takes to be Spider-Man and all the responsibilities he has. This film had so much to offer, and I really did appreciate the runtime because it didn't feel slow or fast at all. It had that really nice pace, but the story in here is so clever, and they brought everybody back in the most intriguing way possible that made it feel important and not pointless and just a gimmick. So I really like the story in here, and both Homecoming and Far From Home had a fun story as well. I still can't believe that I saw this film. I can't believe what they did in the movie and they did it in a way that just felt so fun, and just so many crowd pleasing cheering moments in here. That's one of the best theater experiences since Endgame. So No Way Home, it was an amazing film. Can't wait till everybody sees it and we can all start talking about spoilers, because there's a lot more in here. But those were the 5 reasons why I think No Way Home was the best MCU Spider-Man film. It's emotional, it's got a clever story, great development for Peter Parker, it's action-packed, and the cast in here is so good. So comment down below with your thoughts on No Way Home. What did you think of the film, and are you excited to see more Spider-Man movies? Stay tuned for more up-and-coming content like this. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.